Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, as promised, with the cards using the other brand new Mug Editions set, which I'll get to in a minute. First off, I am starting with the inside of my cards, and I'm using Pretty Pink Posh, the layered graduation stencils, and I have my card bases open, and I'm just using the one stencil from the set on the inside of the cards, the one with just the little grad caps. And I started with this because I'm going to use this stencil with a darker ink, and this was like, oh, if I do this first, I don't have to like wipe off or wash the stencil in between. So it was just laziness. So I taped the stencil, and I'm just pouncing on Simon Says Stamps, just a light gray ink. This is flannel, positively saturated ink, and this will lighten up a bit, like smooth out and soften a bit as it dries, because again, I don't want the inside to be too busy, etc. And I have other things I'm going to add to it. Like I'll come back to the insides of the cards later on. So I taped the stencil into place, pounced on the light gray ink, and then set those card bases aside. And now I'm going to work on my backgrounds. So I have just A2 white cardstock panels, and was like lining up the stencil, and then I was like, I need to attach it to the stencil. Anyway, got a little bit more PIXIE tape. There we go. I figured it out. So put the stencil in place, and then this time I'm going in with a very dark gray ink. Black would have worked too, but yeah, I just wanted to use this, and I'm kind of glad I did, because the background's going to be pretty busy with everything, and I had a lot going on these cards. These were fun. So I used charcoal ink for this, and same thing. It goes on a little bit darker, but it will soften a little bit. It will also smooth out all the fun things. And because it's a stencil set, like a layering set, this is just one of 3. And I've done several videos using the different Pretty Pink Posh layering stencils. I love them. I don't know. There's just something about, like, Pretty Pink Posh has had so many amazing releases since pretty much the beginning, really. But yeah, these mug editions and the layering stencils and so many things. Like the May release was amazing. I'll have links to the videos I've done so far, and then just stay tuned. I'll have more coming. But I decided, as always, to why not do a couple, while I'm making, why not do more than one? So did my second card front with same stencil, same ink, and then thankfully, I was thinking, for once, as I was doing this, the next stencil is the like the little diplomas, and I was thinking in the sense that I was like, ooh, this one does need to be lined up properly, because the third stencil overlaps both of these, which you'll see in a second. So I just made sure to hold both stencils in place. It took me 2 extra seconds. But literally, that's why I just say I was thinking, because usually I'm not, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, and, but this makes it, if you make sure they're lined up, it just makes the third stencil line up so much easier. And if you're using an actual, like my waffle flower stencil mat, or all the other things I normally use and show, it's not such a big deal. Like, use a bigger piece of cardstock, like 6x6, but this is just what I was doing. So I did the same thing with the second panel. Just took that stencil. That way I can just line it up, looking through the stencils, and then lining up the little grad caps with what I had stenciled originally. So then the little diplomas are in the proper spot. And these I just inked up. I just went with a lighter hand. I just used that same flannel ink, so that lighter gray ink, so that they would show up. Doing this because I've done, again, several videos with the layering stencils and doing it on like craft cardstock with, oxide inks, pigment inks. That would look really cute, because then you could use like white pigment ink for the little diplomas, ideas. But anyway, I went with white this time. And this is what I meant. With the third stencil, this does the little ties for the diplomas and the tassels for the grad caps. So having the other 2 lined up proper made it just so much easier to line up this third stencil. And then for this, I am using Gold Rush Lunar paste. I've had a lot of people ask me about Lunar paste, the stencil butters, etc. Slowly but surely getting my hands on different things to test them out. I bought this Lunar paste weeks, months ago. I forget. It's been sitting here. Just, it was waiting for its moment. And its moment was this project. Because I was like, ooh, it's gold. It's perfect. So my right now, my thoughts on it, this stuff's great. I used it just for stenciling though. You know, there's other things you can do. Like I want to do some, use some embossing folders and rub the Lunar paste on it and all that kind of stuff. Like I'll be playing with it more. And there's like a bunch of colors available. So I applied it over the first panel. I did wash the stencil between with these just because, again, I was working on a white card base or like card front, and I was starting to get to the point where I was just making a mess. So I quickly washed it, which took, you know, not very long at all, and then dried it, applied the stencil again over the second panel, applied the Lunar paste. I used my little ThermoWeb, is it called a Stencil Pal? I think that's what it's called. You don't need to use that with this Lunar paste, but I just used it to get a more even application. Plus, it does help kind of remove the excess from the stencil itself, so I can put it back in the container. And then I immediately wash my stencil again, along with the other two. But anytime you use like paste, especially things like glitter paste and that sort of stuff, this Lunar paste removed quite easily. Like I just rub the stencil gently with my hands with soap and water and washes off. It's great. So set the stencil aside to dry. Then I, of course, added splatter to these backgrounds, as one does. Two kinds of splatter. Started with black soot distress paint. Splattered that onto the background, immediately cleaned off my brush. Distress paint dries permanent. Technically all acrylic paints do, but distress paint dries permanent. Always clean off your tools, your brushes, etc. Do not let that paint dry, especially the black soot of all of them. It is like a tattoo, that stuff. Anyway, and then used my gold Gonzai Tombi, splattered that with my little fan brush and everything, and then set those aside to dry. So for the actual, like, you know, focus of the cards, I'm using the graduation mug editions. In my previous Pretty Pink Posh video, I'd used the Get Well mug editions. There are now several little editions. It started with the winter mug, which is what I'm using right there, is the actual mug wafer die. And then there's been all these little add-on sets, which I just love. There's something about like when a brand releases, whether it be a stamp set or a die set or whatever, and then there's like little additions and add-ons, you know, down the road, different themes, different seasons, you know, all the different things. And I'm just like, yes. And these ones are just, they've been so cute. I've been having so much fun with them. So I'm doing gold, black, and white, obviously. If you are newer to my channel, I have a thing for gold, black, and white combos on cards. I have an entire playlist, and there are a lot of videos I've done over the years because you just can't go wrong. You can't. It is classic for a reason. So for things especially like grad cards, wedding cards, but I say that, but on any occasion, really, when is black, gold, and white not just perfect? Like, really. Anyway, I have all sorts of different cardstocks here. I decided, since I'm doing just die cutting and I'm not doing like ink blending on my die cuts like I did the last time, and since I'm doing gold, black, and white, it's like, ooh, this is a fun way to mix different like textures. So I'm using my Tonic Gold Hearted 6x6, which I haven't used in a while, but it is a favorite because it has different types of gold cardstocks. There's glitter, there's foil, there's like a brushed one, there's this like matte, but it has a sparkle. It looks weird. It's the one I use for the actual mugs. I don't even know how to describe it. In real life, it's much more prettier. Right now on camera, it looks like khaki colored. Like, it doesn't look pretty, but trust me, in real life, it has like a gold shimmer to it. It's beautiful. So anyway, I did all my die cutting like I always do. So I prepped everything ahead of time. I just, you know, I took a bunch of scraps. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you saw me cutting up like little scraps of the gold, the brush gold that I had die cut a sentiment from, you know, whenever I'd used it last. And I save all those little scraps because they're perfect. And for things like this, so I was able to cut up those little scraps, and I was using them for like the sentiments, for the little tassels on the grad cap, etc. That's how I end up using it all up. So I had prepped all my like die cutting ahead of time. That's why I got all these little piles here on screen for the different elements in this graduation mug editions die set, because there's a grad cap, there's the diploma, there's some words, there's numbers, there's all the little things, and I used almost everything in this little die set. And yeah, just die cut. This honestly didn't take very long. It's taking me longer to explain my thought process, but did all my die cutting. I had kind of corralled the different little sets, in a sense, in my little triangle trays. So there's this little wand one with the little star. Love it. So I use, the gold foil cardstock for the star itself. For the little tail, I use the gold glitter cardstock. For the actual like wand portion, I use black cardstock, and just adhered everything together with craft tacky glue. So I had done my backgrounds, did all at once. They were dry. I actually die cut them with a stitch rectangle die. You can see it there in frame. And then I did all my die cutting all at once. Once that was done, I was able to move, my machine out of the way, and then I adhere all these little elements together at once. So, and these were simple. Sometimes some die sets, there's multiple steps, multiple layers, multiple things. I like that too, honestly. They can be overwhelming. But when you get into a little process, and regardless, when you do it once, once you like put together one element, it's like, okay, I see it, I get it. And these ones are some of the easiest. I mentioned this in a previous video with the pretty pink Posh ones. She keeps all of the coordinating pieces on one wafer die. So like the grad cap, it's 3 separate pieces, but it's one die. So like what goes with what. And yeah, so that's where I use those little scraps of the brush gold for the little tassels. Love it. And I adhered everything together. So then for my sentiments, I pulled out the Congrats shadow dies. I originally, they were shown on screen there at one point, I had hot foiled, there's a Congrats script hot foil plate, and I had hot foiled the Congrats sentiment onto black cardstock. It looked amazing, but it was covering up too much when I kind of laid everything out. So I set those aside, and I'm just going to put them with the packaging. So the next time I go to grab that hot foil plate, it's like, ooh, I'll have a couple already hot foiled. They're great. They're good to go. So instead, I use just the word, because the Congrats shadow dies, it has the word like you see on screen, but there's also the outline. But I use just the word, and I die cut it from black cardstock. And then the top layer, I die cut from black glossy cardstock. So again, just playing around with different finishes and glitter cardstocks and all the things, and it was just fun. So I did the same thing with this little grad word. This is part of the graduation mug editions die set, and I die cut that from gold glitter cardstock in that little tonic pack, and then I die cut a couple scraps of just white cardstock just to back it with, just to give it that little extra bit of dimension, and adhered those together. And then, like I generally do when I do cards like this, I kind of had a rough idea there, kind of had laid out roughly what I was going to do. And in the graduation mug editions, there's also a set of numbers, so you can customize it for the year, which I thought was super cute. And then it got me thinking, I was like, man, if I was actually like a little scrapbooker, or what would be really cute is doing like a little, like one of those little tag albums. I've been like thinking about these things more lately now that I'm like a mixed media professional. You guys have seen some of my more mixed media cards. I'm also like a professional in all the things. So like tag albums, I've never made one. And I haven't scrapbooked in like 15 years. But I was thinking how cute this set would be for like a little graduation tag album. How cute. Seriously, how cute would it be? You don't even need the mug wafer die set. Like, well, you do need it because it's a mug and hello, coffee themed everything. But yeah, the little like grad elements and the numbers and all those little, pieces make a little like graduation tag album. How cute would it be? Seriously. And I'm saying these things because I'm hoping somebody else does it, and then, just tag me when you post it online, because I'm not there yet. I would honestly totally do it, but I don't have the time. So I'll give you the idea. Do it. Make it. It'd be amazing. And especially do it in like the black, gold, and white theme, or like if you're making it with like an actual person's pictures, like their, school colors, that sort of thing. You can do the same thing with the card, do the school colors instead of black, gold, and white, but black, gold, and white will always, forever be my favorite. So I adhered the numbers. I die cut them from the gold foil cardstock. And then I stuck in the little wand and the little diploma into the mug. And like I said, you can skip with this die set. You can skip the mug completely. And in fact, I think Pretty Pink Posh on her website, it shows card samples that don't use the mug at all. And that just works because as I was doing this, I was like, if I didn't show what what I'm going to put on the inside, yeah, if you're like giving a grad, it's like, why is there a mug on this? You know, but I don't know about you guys, but I have a kid graduating. My second is graduating this year, and teenagers love Starbucks, man, or at least around here they do. It is like, you know, the thing. So I was like, oh, doing this little mug themed cards. And then if you include a little Starbucks gift card in there, hello, perfect. So hence the mug. So I used Simon's Big Mama foam tape to adhere the mug and whatnot to the background. That, like I said, I die cut that down after everything was dry. I die cut that with a stitched rectangle die, so it is smaller than my A2 card base. And then I popped the Congrats sentiment on with just craft tacky glue. And that little bottle, that is a Gina K little detail bottle. I forget when it was months ago that I got those little detail bottles, and I filled this one with craft tacky glue, and it's been working great. Like, it has not clogged on me. The only time I've ever had it clog is because I'll leave it sitting open, you know, and I'll walk away and go do something else. And, you know, there's like, I didn't put the little lid on it. But it unclogged with a pin. It was good. It was good. So anyway, inside of the card, this is why I kept it simple, to make space for the gift card. So you could do all sorts of things. I have several different like little wafer dies that'll die cut little notches, you know, perfectly spaced for gift cards. That is an option. I decided with these that it will just be simple to use just a little piece of like washi tape rolled up or a little mini glue dot to hold that gift card in place. But it can easily be, you know, pulled off and used, because that's exactly what's going to happen. And I just made sure to hold the gift card, you know, as a little placeholder there, so I could adhere this little yay sentiment that is in that graduation mug editions. So I die cut that from the gold foil cardstock, and then made sure to adhere that so it was above where the gift card's going to go. And then by leaving all the space and only like semi attaching the gift card, there's still enough space to write to the recipient. That's also why I put the grad cap kind of as if it's being tossed into the corner, to also make some space. So I adhered the little sentiment there with craft tacky glue, and I'd left little exclamation mark in the scrap of cardstock there, and you saw how I was able to just line it up, made life a little bit easier. And then I adhered my little grad cap, and that finished off the inside. And then I die cut some black cardstock with a larger stitch rectangle wafer die, just to mat the main image here. Adhered those together with craft tacky glue. And then I'm going to pop these onto their card bases. And I'm also, of course, going to add some bling. There's never enough. And then stay tuned to the end, because I'll show these, you know, I'll tilt them back and forth, because on camera, like, you don't see so much of the detail. And shiny foil cardstock looks black. Like the top of the little star wand and the numbers, those sorts of things, like the camera's just like, yeah, nope. But my photos, I was able to like get some of that detail and all the things. And then bling, of course. Pretty Pink Posh, not Pretty Pink Posh, Pink Fresh Studio for the bling. This is some gold glitter drops. And I just put a few of those, just cause, you know. It is tradition. It is one of the rules. So adhered a few of those into place with the craft tacky glue. And then once these are adhered, these cards are complete. I will have links to the other little mug videos I've done on my playlist, my black, gold, and white playlist. I'll link to that at the end of this video, so you can check it out if you haven't seen them, or just, you know, want to see all the videos I've done so far. And then I will have a link below the video to my blog post, as well as to my Instagram, because these cards are actually part of an Instagram hop. I just you know, I film everything I make to share it with you guys. So I'll have my link to my Instagram is in the description box below the video, so you can check that out if you're interested, because there's, you know, inspiration and giveaways and all that fun stuff. So that is it for the moment. Like I said, the gift card, I just rolled up a piece of washi tape, stuck it in place. It's good to go. And I will have supplies to everything, of course. All the supplies will be listed and linked in the description box below the video, as well as on my blog. So just expand the description box. Everything's there for you if you're interested. And thank you all so very much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting. It makes a huge difference. It helps a ton and I appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Bye.